Cleveland Browns, 19. San Francisco 49ers, 17. I'm not waiting for the 49ers fans to wake up.
No.
We're getting right into it.
They're not that kind of time.
So 19-17. Rookie kicker Jake Moody misses a game-winning field goal for the Niners. Niners fall to 5-1. Browns move to 3-2. P.J. Walker now 1-0 as a Cleveland Browns quarterback.
Just P.J. knocking off the best team in the NFL.
Of course, the story here off of Brock Purdy dominating on Sunday Night Football against the Dallas Cowboys. Purdy finishes 12 of 27 for $125. That's just 4.6 yards per attempt, touchdown and a pick in there. Gets sacked 3 times. It was a really fun game. There was also, we talked about the Herculean matchup between Myles Garrett and Trent Williams, and that was as advertised. Myles Garrett put on a show down the stretch. Now, it was on the Niners' potential game-winning drive, but Myles Garrett in the one-on-one matchup for Trent Williams puts on an absolute show. A lot of fun in this game.
Yeah, and, the other element of that was, were they going to keep him on that side, or were they actually going to move him to the other side and try and get him, more reps? And they did, largely speaking, leave him over Trent Williams. Played almost all of the snaps on the right side of the line where he normally lines up. Had 6 rushes from the other side, and at least one of them I saw him dusting Colton McKivitz just straight around the outside of them. It's like, okay, I just don't understand why teams do that. Move him. Now, you're
oversimplifying things here, Sam.
I'm not. It's really not that difficult. You have the best pass rusher in the NFL. Move him to the side against the chump. It's that simple. It really is. You don't want him rushing against the best pass blocker in the NFL one-on-one when you can simply move him to the other side of the line and free him up against a worse player.
There's other elements at play.
There really aren't that many elements. Like, these guys have the ability to do that.
The whole defensive front. You have other players that have to flip sides.
There's absolutely no reason you can't do that and be better. It's a net win if you move him to the worst player on the other side of the line. And look, Myles Garrett played well, had a couple of big plays on here. On the other hand, he's going to come out of this game with a middling grade and a middling pass rushing performance because he went up against the best tackle in the NFL, which is just a loss for the Browns.
Yeah, but okay, don't take away from the fact that we got to see some awesome matchups and Garrett won a bunch on the final drive, but it doesn't really matter because Niners did get into position for the game-winning field goal. So this was one of those games where I always talk about the underdog is hanging in. And of course, Captain Obvious here, it goes one of two ways. Either the heavy favorite, the 49ers, it's just the longer the game goes, they pull away. They're a better team. Of course they're going to pull away. Or the underdog continues to hang in. And in this case, they end up pulling the upset. So it's 10-10, into the third quarter. Cleveland gets up 13-10. And look, P.J. Walker didn't play great at all. Throws an interception and puts the Niners right at the 8-yard line early in the fourth quarter. And it looks like Brock Purdy has led a fourth quarter comeback off of a one-play 8-yard touchdown rush from Jordan Mason.
Yeah.
So it puts the Niners up 17-13, and you're like, all right, it's over for P.J. in the Browns. But it wasn't. They were down 17-13. They drive back, get a 50-yard field goal from Dustin Hopkins, get another field goal late to go up 19-17. Purdy has a chance to lead the fourth quarter comeback. Christian McCaffrey was injured off the field, tried to come back, ends up leaving again. He's injured. Deebo Samuel's injured. So Purdy has a chance to lead the comeback. The Niners do get into field goal position, as I mentioned. Jake Moody misses the game winner.
Yeah, it's an interesting game because this, I think, was probably the worst game of Brock Purdy's career. He was bad in this game. Now, it was also rainy, so we may have found Brock Purdy's kryptonite, which is simple moisture. 9.25-inch hands, It's tricky to grip that ball.
He's above the line, though.
Only just, though, And when that thing's slippy, you need those big hands.
I think we're forgetting just how good the Browns defense
is amazing.
Their statistical output for the Browns is really outstanding.
Their defense is amazing, but I don't think this game was. I think this game was half a product of that amazing defense and half a product of the rain and Brock Purdy playing badly in the rain. Like, there's a ball where it's just straight out of his hand. That's not the defense. That's Brock Purdy not being able to grip a football. He also just missed a bunch of passes in this game that were there, that were open. There was it was a really funny piece of play-by-play commentary in this game that sums up that 49ers offense. I actually wrote it down because it made me laugh. Purdy, play action. He's got Kittle wide open. Goes the other way. Ayuk's wide open too. It's just everybody's open.
Oh, that's funny.
And it's that kind of is this offense. But, Purdy had one absolute dime deep down the field. I think Ayuk dropped it, or maybe it was a pass breakup as well. But that was a big play left on the table. He had the drop thing there on his game-winning drive. He opened that with what could have maybe, I don't know if it's down as a turnover-worthy play, but badly behind the receiver, could have been picked off. The next one misses Ayuk down the sideline on a one-on-one play, just missed the field with it. The game-winning drive, or what could have been the game-winning drive, couldn't have started worse from a Brock Purdy point of view. And, that Browns defense is legit and did a better job against this offense than pretty much anybody out there. Also, by the way, I think there's a fair case that not having Christian McCaffrey in that lineup changes the offense. I mean, he was still cooking early. They had those trick plays to him, and then he's not there, and it's all right, that doesn't work the same. So I think this game was a collection of all those things. Really good defense by the Browns. We knew that already. The worst game of Brock Purdy's career. Conditions that probably fed into that, and some general mistakes by the 49ers offense, in addition to not having Christian McCaffrey out there, and they still needed a kicker not hitting the field goal to lose the game.
We do live in a very oversimplified black and white world sometimes, so there are definitely some people that will say that, Brock Purdy did his job, got them in position for the game ender. I mean, honestly, it was really a little 6 or 7 yard pass to Brandon Ayuk where he weaves through the defense for 33 yards. That was the game. That was the game-winning drive. It was really Ayuk and his yak. As you mentioned, Purdy missed a ton of throws. But I also, as I was tweeting through yesterday, you know me, I'm a dome guy, I'm a weather guy, that stuff matters. I think we need to consider it more both for favorable and unfavorable conditions when we do football analysis. We're sitting here in week 6, we watch the game, we know that it was a factor. We know that the Browns play in way more of these games than the 49ers. But at the end of the year, we're going to look at a player and just say, here are his stats. Let's vote for MVP. Here are his stats. Let's say who was the best. Here are his stats. And people don't, remember the context whatsoever. Other sports, baseball in particular, do a really good job of accounting for ballpark factors. Ballpark factors is what I would say years ago. But they do it because it's different in baseball. You hit the ball and it actually flies differently, right? There could be a 50-foot difference in a ball hit in Colorado Springs versus Norwich, Connecticut, where I played double-A, where I'd give up some absolute bombs. I would give up some moonshots flying, and I'm looking into the bleachers, and the ball just dropped 50 feet short of the left field wall for an out. I was like, wow, this place is awesome, right? So that was pretty extreme. But it's also extreme watching a guy throw in the rain, in wind, versus a guy in a dome. Those are massive differences. We need to consider those things a little bit more with football analysis. And that's me as Brock Purdy's more, his stats are inflated because of all the stuff around him. It's probably also inflated because he's throwing in great passing conditions as well. I just think we should think about that both from why is the Browns defense better? Maybe that's some of the conditions that they've been able to play in the early go. And they've had a lot of rain games. That's going to affect their quarterback's numbers. It's going to help their defense's numbers. That stuff matters. As far as the game goes, the Browns staying alive with P.J. Walker as quarterback, moving to 3-2. And, Deshaun Watson misses the game again, coming off a bye with the rotator cuff bruising or whatever it is. Who knows when he's even going to be coming back. But if you're a Browns fan, you feel like you stole one here, right? You stole this win against probably the best team in the NFL, and it counts as a win. You moved to 3-2. That's a massive win to just stay afloat in the AFC.
I would imagine 49ers fans would want mentioned the controversial call on a hit late on to kind of extend that Browns drive.
Have that in my notes. Yeah.
I mean, I don't really hate that call. A lot of them were whinging about it. I think it was Greg Olson. There was that crew, right, on the broadcast. I forget who their rules and analyst is, but none of them thought it was a penalty. It's high enough, close enough to the head that you've seen them called. The ball isn't really there. I don't have a huge problem with it.
The rules analyst usually defaults to the defenseless thing, though, right?
Yeah.
And so my issue with a lot of officiating, and I think there was a play in another game that looked bad. They threw the flag. I think they threw the flag just to hey, let's talk about it. And then they pulled it. And so, but a lot of the issue is if the play looks bad, as in a guy got hit really hard, they tend to just throw the flag, no matter where he hit him. And a lot of times the rules analyst will default to he's defenseless. It doesn't have to be a hit. It doesn't have to be a blow to the head. It's just is he defenseless? And it's almost like, imagine, Sean Taylor and some of the, heavy hitters in previous years. It's almost if you make it look too good, they're going to flag you. If you hit them too hard, they're going to flag you. That's kind of the issue. I don't like that. I don't like that at all. So it was a great hit on a receiver, kind of off his feet, over the middle, hit him below the head, but hit him really hard. And when you hit them really hard, sometimes they just default. The same thing happens with roughing the passer. If it looks like you absolutely wreck the quarterback because you're too fast and too powerful, you're more likely to get flagged. Sorry. I don't like that at all. And that's why the people that say, for years it was like, well, Cam Newton doesn't get roughing calls, and maybe Josh Allen might not get roughing calls because they're too big and strong. It doesn't look as bad when they get popped versus a smaller quarterback.
I mean, it was high enough and hard enough, and the ball was long enough gone that you've seen those given all the time. I don't think you can complain too hard about that being a flag in this particular game.
Yeah. Is there anything else?
No, other than that, that was a pretty controversial, correct or not. It was an important call.
That was on the Browns comeback.
Yes.
What ended up being their game-winning drive.
Right.
So, hey, weather game.
Throw it out.
You're an advocate for throwing it out.
Yeah.
But I think we have to, keep this in the memory banks.
Do you? Is the Super Bowl going to be played in the rain?
No, I'm more talking from a player evaluation standpoint. I do think there's from a player eval standpoint, or from the Browns' defensive numbers are out of this world good. Their EPA per play is by far the best in the NFL. Success rate against the Browns' defense is way, way better than any other team. But they've also benefited from things, right? It's like, why do historically a lot of the Northeast teams have some of the best defenses, and a lot of the dome teams have some of the worst defenses? It's not because they don't know how to find good players. The conditions matter over time. I'm just saying we have to adjust for those things for the rest of the year and forever in player evaluation. Just bring that back to the forefront a little bit more. Anything else on that game?
No. Big game, big win from the Browns. 49ers drop a game that they probably should have won, but it's not the end of the world. They're still one of the best teams in the NFL and are unlikely to get those kinds of conditions too much the rest of the season. So